Hey everybody, Jim the Tabletop Engineer here, and welcome to a new episode. This is not a crafting video, as you can probably tell. This is a video about VR and wargaming, or role-playing games. What I'm wearing right here is called the Oculus Quest. This is actually the Oculus Quest 2. It is a headset that you wear. You can see the lenses in here. You put it over your eyes, and then you have a right-hand controller and a left-hand controller with various buttons, triggers, and also joysticks and buttons here. And you use these to play games, watch movies, do a whole bunch of stuff. VR is really coming into its own with a lot of different activities that you can do with it. My wife, for example, likes to watch these tourism videos. Things around the world, a tour of the Great Pyramids or a tour of Paris. And they're videoed in such a way that it's like first person, like you're wearing it and you can look around and you could like be beneath the Eiffel Tower. And when you look up, you'll see the top of the tower and it's like you're there. And games are exactly the same thing. Now in this video, I'm going to be showing you some footage of an actual, two games actually that I play on this. One is a robot shoot-'em-up game, and the other one is a brand new game called Demeo, which is a combination of war game / tabletop card game with a die and miniatures. You have to see it to believe it. I've been playing this game for a few days now, and the first thing that popped in my mind was this could very well be the future of wargaming. I'm able to find opponents online, or not opponents, teammates, because the Demeo game, you're playing up to 4 players, move miniatures around on this 3D terrain, which is incredible when you're looking through these. It's very three-dimensional. You can zoom around, rotate, all that kind of stuff. You're going to see actual footage of it, so I'll stop talking and I'm going to get to the footage now. At the end of the video, I'm going to talk about some of the pros and cons of this little device. Let's get to the Oculus and take a look. Okay, so I want to talk about the Oculus Quest, or in my case, the Oculus Quest 2. For VR games, what you're seeing here is a typical example of a first-person shooter. This is a game where you're basically going to be shooting robots that have gone on the rampage. Towards the end of this video, I will give you much more footage that you can watch without my voiceover. But for now, I just want to talk about some things. Now, you know, the VR makes you think that you're there. Now, you're looking at a 2D image here, but when I've got the headset on and I'm actually doing this, it's very three-dimensional. And I apologize for, you know, the constant movement. That might bother some of you, but when you're wearing it, you know, I know what I'm doing. I'm turning my head to the left or to the right. Here the robots are going to all jump and attack me. So when you wear the helmet, it's not as jarring because you know where you're going to look. Now here's just an example in this VR game of how you move. And every game I've ever played on this thing, there's different ways to move. Some use joysticks, you push it forward and you move forward. Like this game, you actually pick a spot and it sort of teleports you there. And then the left joystick and the right joystick, which you hold in your hands, they appear on screen as guns or hands holding guns. And it just lets you know where your hands are relative to your head. And again, when you're immersed in the VR, it's very easy to aim, and you get this three-dimensional depth perception that the whole VR experience is supposed to provide you. This 2D image on screen just isn't cutting it. All right, so the topic of this video is, you know, the future of wargaming. Is VR the future of wargaming? And this is a game called Demeo. And again, I'm going to show you a lot more of this without my voiceover at the end of the video. So I do apologize that you're not able to hear some of the narration, but again, it's like I'm sitting in this chapel or this room, and the book is floating in front of me here. Now this game plays on a tabletop that you're going to see in a minute, and it has miniatures, and there are cards that you can play, and there's a die that you roll, not dice, a die. So here I am in the basement. If you, here I am again picking a character that I want to play, and you can rotate them around and see them from behind. And this adventure is called the Black Sarcophagus, and this game is going to offer many more games. You can see the die here. I'm going to roll it, and then there is the cards that pop up when I flip my hand upside down. You can see me moving the miniatures here. And they're animated, so when a wizard casts a spell, you actually see him and hear him speak the words, and then he flings the spell, and there the fighter is doing this whirlwind attack. In the game, you gain XP, you gain gold, which you can use to upgrade your miniatures. You upgrade your cards, which is basically the powers that you play and the spells you cast and things like that.
So down this way, no,
as you
down
can
this-
see here,
this
the
path.
tabletop is in front of you.
Now,
You
do
can
we wanna
rotate
pop
the
that
tabletop
oil lamp?
around. Now here I'm actually
You have a
playing
gas
a
lamp?
multiplayer game
Some people
with
like those things, and other people are
with 3 people
all
that I
for 'em,
didn't
so-
know. I was
So,
playing the
go against
wizard,
this
and they
archer.
were playing the
You should get
let's
this
see, there
archer
was a
on one
rogue,
turn.
like assassin, a
He's
fighter
he only has
type,
3
and
lives,
a
2 more lives
what
left,
was the
so
other
we
one,
can
an
take the
archer.
slime 'cause
And when you hear the players
lose
in
him
your
right
ears
away.
through
And
the
he has 3
3D
seconds.
hearing, you know, it's in stereo, so you can tell whether they're to your left or your right. You see their hands,
So
and you see a mask that
Take out the
represents
hand-
their
take out the
position at the
hand.
table.
I'll take out
If,
the
in
mystic.
just a moment, if you look around, you might see a mask floating in space. Now I'm going to jump around. Here I am loading up the. No, here I am looking around the basement. I want you to understand this is an immersive thing. So the game is designed like you're in this basement. There's posters on the wall, and there's this game box in front of you. So Skirmish is the solo game where you play 3 miniatures. And you can look behind the miniatures in front. They move around. You can read descriptions of them. And sometimes in the game you won't see this. I see it, but it doesn't show up on the video recording. There's these laser-like lines that go out of the gloves, and every now and then you'll get a glimpse of them, but they're much more prominent when I'm wearing it. And that's how you select things, and there's buttons on the controller for doing various actions. You can zoom in. I mean, I didn't do it here, but you can zoom in to where the miniatures are almost taking up the entire screen. I'm not kidding. You can zoom out. You can rotate the table. Now, with your fellow players, they can do all this too, but it doesn't affect what you see. So if you zoom in, you're the only one seeing it at that magnification level. The other 3 players can control their own zoom. They can stand around the table wherever they like. In this game, you see the blue diamonds. Those represent points of interest that you want to go and investigate. They could be treasure. They could be doors down to different levels. There's all kinds of things they can be. Now here I am zooming in. Okay, so you just saw you use hand gestures, kind of like you do with a tablet or an iPhone or a smartphone. Moving your hands a certain way will allow you to move in, and moving them a certain way will allow you to zoom out. And again, I'm doing a lot of rotating here, and I apologize. It's very jumpy. But again, when you're in control, it's not so jumpy because you know what you're doing. I know that I'm going to twist this, say, to the left or to the right, and you don't. As a passive viewer, you don't know. But when you're playing the game, it's not as jumpy. Now here I am grabbing my miniature and moving it, and I'm putting him behind a wall to hide. And as things happen, like for instance, when I select a card, I drop it over the character I want to cast it on, or the monster. I grab the die and I roll it. Now here's the thing. I do see this as the future, or a future, for wargaming. I can totally see war games played totally in a virtual space. You'll have much more than, say, 1 die. Now this game you just have the 1 die, but you know, a game company could design this where you had multiple types of die, colors, things like that. This game has cards. You know, some war games have cards, some don't. But I'm hoping that you're getting a grasp of just the power of this VR playing a game like this. Now, there is a game out there called Tabletop Simulator, which does give you a 2-dimensional VR experience playing at a tabletop. But with the headset on, with this Oculus headset on, it truly does look 3-dimensional. I mean, you can walk around the table. The Oculus lets you define a play area. If you have a very large room with no furniture, when you start the Oculus, you draw a line on the floor to trace the area that you're allowed to move around in. So if you have a large room with no furniture, you draw the entire boundary of the room, and then you can walk around and move. And doing that, the table can stay where it is, and you could literally just walk around the table and see this from various angles. It's very hard to to explain it until you actually use it. If you've never used an Oculus or a VR type device, it's kind of hard to understand, but once you define the area that you can move around freely without running into walls or furniture or what have you, then the games become a lot more fun to play. So again, right here a creature just got killed, but it poisoned one of my characters. This is a very interesting game, and even though it's very Dungeons and Dragons like, here I am rotating the characters around so you can see them from all angles, and they move and they do crouches and things like that. I'm gonna stop talking here, and I'm just gonna let you enjoy the sounds and music of the game. And if you have any questions, be sure to post them below in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and continue watching for about the next 7 or 8 minutes as I just play the game. You're watching it from my point of view, and you'll hear all the music and stuff like that.
The elven catacombs greet you with a distant wail of despair. You steel yourselves and make ready to seek out the evil nemesis residing below. Monster time.
Shall we do this?
It's the monster.
Let's get this in there.
Bullseye. It is the enemy's turn.
What is ahead? I am the shadows. I'll open that vein for you.
My arrow will find the target. Okay, monster time.
I'm ready my knife. They will kill me.
My aim is true. Poisoned arrow.
The monsters are moving. For the Queen!
Just like time. Have some steel.
Now, what will the fiends do?
If I must. A gift for you. Breathe deeply.
Death from above. Die, you monster! Straight and death take you!
Okay, so I hope that gave you a little bit of a taste of what wargaming could look like in a VR situation. I have to tell you, with this on, being able to zoom in on that table and rotate around and see the miniatures, you know, animated and throwing spells and javelins and launching arrows and things like that, it just, the grin on my face just won't go away. But here's the deal. There are some cons to this type of thing. Some of them are, well, let's just talk about them for a second. One of the cons is the size of this. Now, I can tell you right now, when you put it on, if you get the straps all done properly for your head, it's not uncomfortable. But most war games that I play are taking anywhere from an hour to upwards of 3 hours to complete. And I will tell you that wearing this for more than 45 minutes or so, it gets tiring. Again, it's squeezing your head, not tight, but you're basically putting something over your eyes and the top of your head. And even though this isn't super tight, trust me, it's not tight at all, it gets tiresome. The longest I've ever played a game on this is probably about an hour. And at that point, it was time to take it off. Now, the battery life is very good on this. I don't doubt that I could play for 2 or 3 hours if I wanted to. But definitely, this is going to have to get smaller, lighter. And here's the next con, cost. I'm trying to remember what this one runs, but I want to say they're anywhere from $300 up to $600, depending on what you get. There's different name brands. This is the Oculus. And then, of course, they come with different storage capacity. Like all the videos you just saw, I record them on this, and then I transfer that file to my laptop. So, and of course, that memory also is related to how many games you can download and store on your Oculus, which is quite a bunch. Believe it or not, you can store a lot of games before you run out of memory. But cost is going to be a factor. This is not something that just everybody can go out to the store and buy for $30 or $40 as a gaming accessory. Until this comes down in price, I just can't see this kind of thing being super popular for wargaming yet. Another drawback is there's just not a lot of war games available for VR yet. Now, I mentioned in the video there's a platform called Tabletop Simulator, and a lot of us used it during the COVID pandemic in 2020. There was a lot of people getting on it and buying it. They went on sale for $5. It used to be, I don't know, it used to be probably $20, but I think sometimes you could get it for $5 or $10. And that was the company, basically riding that wave. There was such a large interest in people wanting to play games, but because of COVID, they could only play virtually with other people. But the Tabletop Simulator, even though I played it, and I did play games with it, it allows you to rotate the table, and you roll digital dice on the screen, and you move miniatures. It was still two-dimensional. It was on a screen, and you didn't have that depth perception, okay? But it was what we had. As far as VR, true VR right now, there are no, at least none that I've seen, there are no current popular war games. Pick a war game that you know is popular and played quite a bit, and I don't think that company has licensed a software company to create a VR version of that game. Now, that said, this Demeo game is very impressive. I mean, it came out of nowhere. The people that I've been playing with, we talk about it as we take breaks and stuff, and all of us agree that this is just incredible. Your hands, when you hold them up in front of you, you got the headset on, you see two hands, and when you flip your left hand or your right hand, you get access to cards. And when you pull the trigger and point at the die and you sling your wrist, it rolls the die. There's a lot of room here for improvement, and there's a lot of space for a war game to take advantage. For example, I like Frostgrave. I could totally see a Frostgrave game like this where my hands maybe, instead of the cards, I have access to the spells that my wizard would cast, for example. A game like Frostgrave would be very simple to do because you're really just moving miniatures, and it has to keep track of the distance. And then, of course, there's the die rolling, which Frostgrave uses a D20, whereas this game, I think, is a D12. And then there are, the spells. So I could easily, I'm not a programmer, but I think a lot of the current popular war games could be converted over to VR for like the Oculus or other platforms. I say they could be done easily. I'm not a coder. Maybe it would be a lot of work. I don't know how long this company worked on Demeo, but I can tell you that having played it a number of times now, it blows me away. I want to play the war games that I enjoy playing. I want to play them on this because I can't always find a live opponent here in Atlanta. But with a VR system and connected to the world, I could find opponents at any time of the day. Last night at 10 p.m., I got my boys in bed. I came down here to play again and experiment, and I got online, found a game, with 3 other players, and we marched through the levels. I think we got down to level 2 before I had to bow out. And when I bow out, another player can jump right in. It's incredible. And again, there are cons, but I don't see this replacing war games. I think there's always going to be those of us who enjoy painting the miniatures. We enjoy putting them on the table and moving them and rolling physical dice. I don't see this being a replacement for that. I see it just being another option for a rainy day when you can't get to the game store, but you just want to play a war game. With a little more work, I think companies could create artificial opponents. I mean, instead of playing solo, you could play against an opponent. You could do campaigns. This particular game, Demeo, the company is releasing what they call adventure books. They're kind of like RPG modules. They'll be releasing them, I think, quarterly. and they come with new dungeons and new things to explore. And I totally could see them taking this out of the dungeon and going maybe in a jungle theme or a city theme. The limit is really what the coders can come up with. They've got the basic platform created. I've heard that they're going to be doing new classes, so instead of those 4 basic miniatures, there'll be other options to play. Hopefully they'll continue to add cards and new I know they add new monsters, because last night there was a new monster that appeared, and one of the guys who's been playing since the game came out, he's like, that is a brand new monster. They just added it. Apparently he knew it on the Discord, or heard about it on the Discord server, and we encountered it last night. It almost kicked our butt. It was a very spooky looking, very tall miniature compared to our miniatures. Anyway, my point is this. I think VR is going to do a lot for our wargaming hobby, especially with the popular war games, the ones that make money, that will be able to go to a software company and say, hey, we want you to create a VR version of our game that players can buy. And you know where this is going. They can create the base platform, and then they can sell customized miniatures. You could go and order a miniature and customize it the way you want and pull it into that game, and you have your own miniature, and you could paint it or color it digitally. I could see people creating adventures that will, like, maybe click in, kind of like you would go buy a pre-written adventure for a role-playing game. People could submit adventures that would be downloadable or buyable and provide extra content. There's a whole lot of places this can go. I really didn't mean to go this long on it, and I do apologize for the length of this video, because it's going to be long, but this is not a crafting video. This is something I wanted to share with my viewers, because I am so just amazed at what this game has the ideas it's put in my head for where we could take this with role-playing games and war games. Interestingly enough, I just saw a Kickstarter today on Facebook. I don't remember the name of it. It's a Kickstarter that is live right now, and it is a VR fantasy RPG tabletop. I need to go check it out. I don't know much about it, but it just popped up in my feed. Wonder how that happened. Somebody's monitoring me. But it's coming. It's coming, people. And again, I think that as more and more people start considering moving to a VR platform for some types of gaming, these things will come down in price, obviously. They're going to get more powerful. They'll have more memory. They will hopefully get lighter and thinner, so that you don't get fatigue wearing them for long periods of time. But I'm very excited to see the next 5 to 10 years what happens in our hobbies with regards to VR. All right, that's all I have. I'll be here on Wednesday with a new video. If you have any questions at all about the Oculus, about the VR, about Demeo or whatever, post it in the comments. I'll do my best to answer it. I can't say that I have all the answers. I'm just getting into this myself, but I am quite pleased at what I'm seeing so far. So I hope you are too. If you would like to see a complete level played through, like a skirmish level, I can record it on this and post it up. If that's not of interest, that's okay. But if you think that would be of interest, somebody put a comment down there, and if I get a 5 or 10, plus ones or whatever, maybe I'll record an hour's worth of dungeon delving and just put that out there without voiceover, so that you can see the action and hear the sounds and all that stuff. All right, this is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me on this extra video, and everybody, take care.
Each month, Beckham's Bizarre RPG and Wargaming magazine provides gamers with articles, props to print and cut out for players, mini adventures, new monsters, and much more. Look in the description below for details on how to get a few free issues so you can see what you're missing.